In this season of reflection, I'd ask you to think for a moment about our community, these services, our worship and song. They show us something that we all know in our hearts. Central is not your typical synagogue. This was made clear to me once again in an email I received last spring, one of many from members of our live stream community. It was from a couple of Montrealers who discovered Central when surfing through satellite channels on a trip to Vermont. They quickly became regular Shabbat participants. Months later, when they were walking with friends in Arizona, they mentioned that Central's president, that would be me, was also from Montreal, a fact that they learned from my Yom Kippur Appeal last year. One of the friends exclaimed that, in fact, my father had been his camp counselor at Unser Camp Kinderwelt in Quebec more than 50 years before. Central's reach online and into the houses and homes and hearts of Jews everywhere has extended the old pastime of Jewish geography. Stay with me here. A synagogue in New York, discovered by Canadians in Vermont, brings friends together to worship and relive memories of Montreal in Arizona. Even more amazing to me is that rather than running out of the sanctuary the minute that the synagogue president gets up to give the Yom Kippur Appeal, which is what I did my whole life, or in our streamers' case, rather than checking their emails, our community actually listens and discusses it with friends. We at Central have so much to be grateful for this year and proud: meaningful worship, wonderful music, unparalleled pastoral care, and literally hundreds of life cycle events, both joyfully happy and terribly sad. Programs that enriched the connection to Judaism for over 10,000 participants, educating children in nursery and religious schools, both midtown and downtown, adults learning in ongoing programs and special lectures, not to mention all those participating in Rabbi Buchdahl's morning meditation. We continued to broaden our Jewish tent, welcoming everyone who wanted to learn about, explore, or practice Reform Judaism. This year, we created The Neighborhood, an innovative online community providing an on-ramp to deeper Jewish engagement. And as you heard just before, our Center for Exploring Judaism introduced Judaism to over 168 students, over half of whom went on to convert. To fulfill our commitment to Tikkun Olam, this year our Central community helped New Yorkers suffering from food insecurity, Americans struggling with medical debt, Ukrainian Jews impacted by war, and those in our city transitioning from incarceration. We also resettled 2 refugee families fleeing violence and persecution in Guatemala. To serve this congregation at the very highest level, throughout the pandemic, we invested for success. Our choices continue to be based on our values, and today we are facing higher costs in several key areas. Attracting and retaining the very best clergy and staff remains our top priority, and I would say we're doing a pretty good job. Just this year, we filled an open cantorial and a key senior staff position that were open this past year. Speaking of which, isn't our new cantor Pearsall amazing? We have also initiated several new programs to cultivate longer-term relationships with our clergy. Despite the additional cost, we remain committed to the dual option when it comes to worship, investing to provide the highest quality services both online and in person. Our long-awaited return to more in-person gatherings increases our facility, security, and staffing costs. But most welcome of all, we anticipate increased food costs with the end of the COVID-imposed Jews Without Food mandate. To meet our increased need in this economic environment, we are now providing 66% more financial assistance to our own members than we did before the pandemic. Personal finances will never be an impediment to being part of our community. And finally, while we have always focused on safety and security, the attack at Congregation Beth Israel in Colleyville, Texas last year was a reminder of the threat of anti-Semitism and anti-Semitic violence around the globe and in our country. We want you all to know that we continually reassess our security program, and this year we have made important modifications and upgrades. Our wonderful security team, led by our full-time head of security, is constantly vigilant in securing the safety of our congregation, its clergy, and staff. You, our central members, are our core and our reason for being. Nothing is more important to us than taking care of our central family, and your support enables us to do that with excellence. Last year's Yom Kippur Appeal accounted for over 1/3 of our operating budget. You stepped up, and we are counting on you to step up again. I want to speak for a moment directly to our live stream community. Last year, our high holiday services reached literally hundreds of thousands of you in nearly 100 countries around the world. 4,000 live streamers contributed to our Yom Kippur Appeal, and I want to thank each and every one of you. David in Mexico City, Monica in Johannesburg, Jack and Barbara, those Montrealers I mentioned earlier. Every live streamer has a story. You shared the many and varied paths that brought you to us, but you also told us why you stayed, the ways that Central adds meaning to your lives. We know you are with us. We do know, and we read every letter and email that you send. I hope you will consider supporting us again, or for the first time. As I did last year, I ask you all, those of you in this room and streaming around the globe, to think about your central moment of 5782, a time when Central brought you just what you needed. A rabbi whose words rang true, a melody that uplifted you, a message that resonated, a connection with loved ones. For me, two come to mind. I had the privilege of standing on this bima each week to say Kaddish for my father, which gave me the chance to testify to his life and to his impact on mine. And watching my handsome son Nathaniel and his bride Ellie wrapped in my father's talit as they stood under the chuppah this May, beginning their journey together. Central is there for us. I ask you, be there for Central. I don't subscribe to that old adage that says give till it hurts. I prefer give till it makes you feel great. Give to Central till it makes you feel great. I thank you in advance for your support and wish each of you a year of health and peace. Thank you very much.